Greetings and welcome to the Catholic Focus News, where we bring you the key developments shaping community across the country. The Catholic Focus team continues to keep its eyes on the ground, tracking the stories that matter most to you. I'm Asasha Elizabeth, together with Ken Mwangi on sign language interpretation. And in this bulletin, we bring you key stories making headlines across governance, the economy, education, infrastructure, as well as public accountability. Now we start with our top story. Church leaders in central Kenya are sounding the alarm over what they term as a dangerous mix of runaway corruption, a struggling healthcare system, rising alcoholism among youth, and premature political campaigns ahead of the 2027 general election. The clergy now warn that unless urgent action is taken, the country risks deeper divisions and a further decline in public service delivery. Lillian Kimanthi starts us off in this bulletin.
Brought together delegates from Kirinyaga, Murang'a, Embu, Laikipia, Nyandarua, and Nyeri counties under the theme Strengthening Governance, Accountability and Trust for Credible Elections. Church leaders say corruption remains the biggest obstacle to development in the region.
It's a very sad reality that the counties in our region are experiencing ever-increasing corruption, characterized by misuse of public resources, weak accountability systems, and declining public trust in institutions.
The clergy say misuse of public funds has fueled poverty, unemployment, and the collapse of essential services, with calls for stronger anti-graft laws and tougher penalties for those convicted of corruption, including barring them from seeking elective office.
We note that corruption is a key driver of poverty, unemployment, and poor delivery service. This state of depravity is not sustainable, and urgent action is required. We especially recommend that persons convicted by court for corruption be barred from contesting in elections, even in cases where appeals are pending. Further, we call upon like-minded organizations to support the efforts to train and empower communities to demand accountability from leaders and public institutions.
The rights enshrined in our Constitution of Kenya 2010 are not gifts from those in power. They are obligations owed to you as citizens. When roads are impassable, when hospitals run dry, when your children's futures are battered for political royalty, the response must not be silence, but accountability. We remind our leaders that power is not permanent. The mandate entrusted to you today will be returned to the people tomorrow.
They also expressed concern over early political campaigns, accusing some leaders of abandoning service delivery for 2027 succession politics. The church warning that the upcoming Olkalou parliamentary by-election must not be turned into a battleground for political supremacy, violence, or voter manipulation.
With the general elections only 14 months away, we are deeply concerned that politicians at all levels are neglecting service delivery to focus on premature campaigns. This trend is particularly evident in the Olkalou constituency, where the upcoming by-election on July 16, 2026 has become a flashpoint for political realignments rather than a focus on the representation needs of the people of Nyandarua. The security agencies and the Director of Public Prosecutions should ensure that any person who engages in goonism by organizing youths to do violence is investigated and prosecuted.
We appeal to our fellow clergy to adhere to the guidelines that were issued by the Executive Committee of NCCK on ministering to politicians. Church leaders will remain objective and non-partisan and will avoid endorsing or opposing any political leader or party.
The clergy also decried the deteriorating state of healthcare in county referral hospitals, citing shortages of medicine, broken dialysis machines, and poor sanitation.
The state of healthcare in our counties is terrible. Residents have stated that some of the county referral hospitals are sicker than the patients. These are hospitals without drugs, where treatment machinery like dialysis are not working, that are in a very poor condition, and even one that does not have water. We call upon the controller of budgets to ensure that the counties allocated adequate funds to the health care.
Youth leaders, meanwhile, raised concern over rising alcoholism and drug abuse, warning that politicians are exploiting vulnerable youth for violence.
In a growing epidemic in our country is uncontrolled abuse of alcohol, drugs and substances that are mid-altering. This has become a widespread that villages and shopping centers are epicenters of zombie-like youths whose lives seem only to revolve around the next sip of puff. The social impact is massive. Youth's productivity has plummeted. Families are breaking apart. Children are dropping out of schools. Gender-based violence is on the rise. Impoverishment of the entire social group and a sharp rise of insecurity.
NCCK is now calling on the IEBC security agencies and political parties to ensure credible elections while urging young people to reject political incitement and participate peacefully in the democratic process.
Trusting in Jesus' name.
Lillian Kimanthi, reporting for Catholic Focus, Caption TV.
Fuel prices have once again risen sharply following the latest review by the Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, EPRA, with motorists and transport operators in Bungoma already feeling the pinch as fares go up. Meanwhile, former Chief Justice and presidential hopeful David Maraga is blaming the increases on poor management of national resources. He is gifted Rapalo with the details.
A day after Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority EPRA announced an increase in fuel prices, the impact is already being felt across Bungoma County, especially among public transport operators. Boda riders and matatu drivers say they have been forced to raise fares in a bid to cushion themselves from rising operational costs.
Mimi kama conductor naona hii hali ya anga inatusumbua Mheshimiwa Rais. Tafadhali, juu kila kitu hata nyanya ndio ifike kwa soko ni mafuta. Si kununua watatuongezea bei. Watoto wetu kwenda shule na pikipiki asubuhi wanatuongezea bei. Mimi naomba ufanye kwa tu jambo. Tenda ishara Mungu acheke. Sasa hii abiria anaogopa hata kuingia kwa gari. Juu sasa Bungoma tulikuwa tunaendea 180, sasa anaendea 200. Kakamega tulikuwa tunaendea 200, sasa naendea 400. Imagine tu hivyo rais. Sasa Nairobi mtu anaendea 2000 kutoka Webuye. Ai rais. Tunaumia.
Sasa tumeona kama hamtapunguza, pia sisi tutaongeza bei, fare iwewe juu. Mahali tulikuwa tunaendea shilingi 200, tutaendea 200, 300. Naongeza 100 juu yake. Yes. Hiyo ni hiyo tu. Sababu serikali imeongeza mafuta bei na abiria wanaumia sana.
The fare hikes have now triggered a ripple effect on the cost of living, with traders in Webuye reporting an increase in the prices of basic commodities.
Naona hatuwezi sema ya kwamba tunapandisha saa hii, lakini vile tunaona uchumi vile inaendelea kupanda, ni lazima vitu navyo pia vinaenda kupanda. Kwa sababu mfano mtu kama mimi ninafanya biashara ya nyama, ninanunua ng'ombe nikichinja, unapata saa hii ng'ombe zimeenda juu. Maana unapouliza mtu, kwa sababu tuko na wenzetu kutoka Mount Elgon, kutoka wapi, wanasafirisha ng'ombe wakileta kwa soko na lori. Sasa unapata wanasema mafuta imepanda, sasa ni lazima ng'ombe pia imepanda. Na unapata ya kwamba sasa mama mboga naye akipandisha ile mboga yake, nayo haitapata soko. Kwa hivyo tunaomba tu ya kwamba kama serikali yetu ya Kenya, sisi ndio tulipigia kura na bado tuko na uwezo ya kuipigia kura the year 2027 ama tusiipigie kura.
Wakati mafuta inapandishwa ghafla, tunaona kwa breaking news, the following day utapata vitu zimeshaanza kupanda, kwa sababu wamama kama wenye wanatoa nyanya kama Mwea, wanatoa mboga kama Mount Elgon, pia wamepandishiwa mafuta.
Boda operators now say the situation is becoming unsustainable, warning that some may be forced to abandon the business altogether in search of alternative livelihoods. They are also questioning government comments to support small-scale traders and transport workers.
Boda hapa Dina. Bwana Rais, wewe ukikuja hapa Webuye ukiomba kura chini ya mama mboga, masola na boda, wewe ulikuwa unatuambia unaenda kutengeneza serikali ya mwananchi wa chini. Lakini umefika huko juu Bwana Rais. Hata hiyo pesa yako mfukoni hatuoni. Mafuta unashukisha na shilingi 1, unapandisha na shilingi 16. Bwana Rais, kitu tunakuomba hata 2027 usikuja hata Western hatunakuja kuomba kura. Wacha tu sisi tungangana na huyo Sifuna wetu.
Lakini mahali tumefika imekuwa ni vigumu kwetu kama bodaboda kuendesha. Sijui tutafanya kazi gani. Na bodaboda inasaidia watu wengi sana. Tunakusii mafuta irudi chini kama vile ulisema bodaboda apande juu. Sasa sisi tutapanda juu ama tunaremuka? Sisi kusema ukweli wana bodaboda tunaumia zaidi kuliko watu wengine. Na alisema bodaboda atawashughulikia. Na kuanzia wakati aliingia kwa kiti, acha shughulikia kwa bodaboda, acha shughulikia kwa mama mboga. Na mama mboga kumpeleka kwa soko anakupea shilingi 50. Ndio pia yeye andepate faida.
Kwa ajili tunabebanga kutoka hapa Dina paka Milo na shilingi 150, lakini saa hizi ukiambia mtu 250 anakataa kwa sababu ya mafuta imepanda. Lakini sasa ukiongelesha customer hataki kuelewa. Sisi sasa ndo tunaumia sana Bwana Rais.
At the national level, former Chief Justice and Presidential hopeful David Maraga has weighed in on the fuel price hike, blaming it on what he terms as poor management of the country's resources. Speaking in Kisii during a Law Society of Kenya Southwest branch meeting, Maraga questioned why Kenya continues to experience high fuel prices despite having a major regional port while neighboring countries pay less. He attributed the trend to corruption and mismanagement, saying the situation could be reversed through stronger governance and accountability. As fuel prices continue to bite, both transport operators and consumers now brace for further increase in the cost of living, even as political voices intensify calls for accountability in resources management.
We have seen how the price of oil has gone. Fuel has gone up. We know as a fact that there is a crisis in the Middle East, but it would not hit us as hard as it has done if we were diligent with the use of our resources. The last I knew is that the last increase, fuel was cheaper in Rwanda by 30 shillings than it is in Kenya. And you know that fuel goes through Kenya to Rwanda. I don't know what it is because of the current increase. So these are the kind of things we want to watch. This is the kind of leadership I wanted to bring to this country. I will have zero tolerance to corruption, and will make sure that the public resources are utilized for the good of the nation.
Reporting for Catholic Focus, Captain TV, I'm Gifted Rapalo.
And from the pressure at the pump, we turn to a major milestone in the education sector where Kenya's higher education landscape has entered a new milestone after KST University was officially awarded a charter by the government of Kenya. The new institution is set to position itself as a specialized research powerhouse, with its first intake expected to admit 110 master's students and 24 PhD candidates under full scholarships. Geoffrey Murray has more.
Speaking during the ceremony, KST Council Chair Professor Emmanuel Mutisia said all students will receive full scholarships, enabling them to full focus on research and innovation aimed at supporting industrial development in the country.
This is the Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, or the Kenya IST, a postgraduate degree awarding institution based here in Konza Technopolis. It is a specialized institution that will offer programs in engineering, majorly mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, civil and environmental engineering, nuclear engineering, chemical engineering, agricultural biotechnology, and ICT engineering, which will include cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and so on and so forth. We are offering master's and PhD programs, being a specialized university and targeting the best students in Kenya and across. This is the Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, or the Kenya IST, a postgraduate degree awarding institution based here in Konza Technopolis. It is a specialized institution that will offer programs in engineering, majorly mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, civil and environmental engineering, nuclear engineering, chemical engineering, agricultural biotechnology, and ICT engineering, which will include cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and so on and so forth. We are offering master's and PhD programs. We are starting with masters for the first 2 years.
KAIST will begin with advanced technology programs including artificial intelligence, robotics, cybersecurity, and agricultural biotechnology aimed at improving food production and security.
And technology developments to Power Vision 2030. We call it the Nairobi Advanced Institute of Science and Technology. But under the guidance of Professor Chan, when he told us about KAIST in Korea, we decided to make it, we proposed the Kenya Advanced Institute of Science and Technology, which is now the Kenya IST here today. And I would be remiss if I did not mention the very good work done by Professor Bitangi Ndemo, one of your fellow professors at the university, who was then the permanent secretary of ICT then, as we used to call that ministry. And in fact, the very first CEO of Konza, acting CEO, Catherine.
With the state-based support of the leadership is me, I am certain this great institute will serve as a cornerstone for the enduring partnership and cooperation between Kenya and the Republic of Korea. Our journey toward this milestone began during our
Education stakeholders have described the move as the key in strengthening Kenya's digital transformation agenda and boosting economic growth through modern research and innovation.
Mine is simply to say congratulations on this very auspicious day on the awarding of the charter to Kenya IST. They say that success has many fathers. But I want to say thank you very much to the council for not forgetting, because I feel like a true father today, watching a baby being born, and thank you for the invitation. I think, Professor, you just try ask the students if they've heard of Vision 2030. Many of them haven't because they were very young. Probably some of them were not born when this was thought about. And therefore it is important to invite them so they know how these things happen. They just don't happen magically. People actually get together to make things happen.
Siku ya leo watu wengi hawakuwa wanatarajia. Purposely walikuwa wanakuja kuconfirm. Is it really city? You know the word city ni kitu kubwa. So vile walikuja, actually they were very very happy. Wengine walikuwa wananiuliza Kikamba, kumbe wewe umetuleta outing.
Development Bank. Indeed, job well done. I need a clap for that. Thank you so much. And as Africa Development Bank, indeed, science, technology, and innovation.
For Catholic Focus, Capuchin TV, my name is Geoffrey Omare.
And we here congratulate KAIST University on receiving its charter from the government of Kenya and wish the institution success as it braces up to nurture innovation, research and industrial growth. Now, as Thika edges closer to attaining city status, concerns are mounting over a worsening water shortage that threatens to undermine its rapid urban expansion. The industrial town is currently grappling with a daily deficit of more than 20,000 cubic meters as demand continues to outstrip supply. Here is David Wekesa with that report.
Thika Town is racing against time to address a growing water storage as it pushes for a city status. The industrial town currently produces about 40,000 cubic meters of water daily, far below the rising demand from a population of more than 279,000 residents and expanding industries. In response, the national government through the Earthy Water Services Board has launched a 15.4 billion shilling project aimed at increasing water production by an additional 70,000 cubic meters per day.
The idea of Daninda is to increase water volumes and capacity, and also to extend what we call last mile extension. We are also in negotiation with national government. You remember we have Karimeno Dam, which we were supposed to have gotten by now about 2 million liters of water per day. Our water system, they are quite old. We have to work with Thika Water, and we want to work with Thika Water to improve those drainage facilities and modernize it and improve the capacity in terms of provision water per day.
The project, supported by Danida, will include expansion of water infrastructure, construction of storage facilities, and establishment of modern treatment plants. Speaking during the WASCO's annual stakeholders meeting, Managing Director Engineer Moses Kinya said the project will help end persistent water rationing and support Thika's ambition of becoming Kenya's 6th city.
We are also happy to report that funding for the Karimeno water supply, that will also increase water supply by 20,000 meter cubed to Thika, is also at advanced stages with the funding from AFDB. We are also internally working towards an internal project that is improving our current treatment plant with the same footprint, without doing new infrastructure, but in improving the technology by improvising what we call inclined settlers, and that will help us to increase production by another 15,000 meter cubed per day. That will help alleviate that problem.
Residents have, however, urged the company to speed up the construction of sewerage systems, treatment plants, and household water connections to match the town's rapid growth. At the same time, the WASCO says it has intensified a crackdown on illegal water connections in partnership with the Water Police Unit, leading to arrest of hundreds of offenders.
But one of the things that we really appreciate is the management, and together with the board, trying to make that what we have we can increase the efficiency, bring up the technology, bring up new pumps, so that we are able at least to get a little bit more water by the resources we have, so that we're able to get the 20,000 cubic meters as we have really spoken about. So that is one of the things. And I think the other thing is to know there's a lot of climate change. So even when we complain about water, we know there is also what has happened in the whole world. The weather has become very erratic, and sometimes we have prolonged droughts that also affect our supply of water.
Would you mind kindly talking to us in Kikuyu?
Reporting for A Catholic Focus, I am David Wekesa.
From Thika, let's now head to Machakos County, where more than 50 houses in Githunguri, Machakos County, have been demolished by authorities in a government-led operation targeting illegally grabbed public land and blocked drainage pathways. Lands and Urban Development Minister Nathaniel Nganga warns land-selling firms over fraudulent allocations as hundreds of residents, including a school built on disputed documents, are left displaced.
This opportunity to warn and to put on notice real estate agents, land buying and selling companies that are not following the Fiscal Land Use and Planning Act, and the officers that have been abetting those approvals for land subdivision schemes that are not compliant with the law as set out in the Fiscal Land Use and Planning Act of 2019. I want to tell you, we will even also take you to court, because you are taking advantage of our people over the residents of this area. You are conning the public by selling to them land that has not respected waterways, that has not respected riparian areas, and that has not respected public utilities. I want to urge you to stop and follow the law. And I want to also warn the officers that have been abetting that, whether from county government or national government. We will not let you off the hook. Here we are is also another public land that had been grabbed by a private developer. It's been sitting on the land for many years, done a private school, made a lot of money using government land. We understand that he's gone to court, and we are happy that we will be able through the court to demand that he be charged for the years he has spent to make money from this land.
The Office of the Auditor General has cited inadequate resources as a major hindrance to the effective execution of its mandate, calling for an increase in the number of auditors across the country amid its expanding responsibilities. Speaking in Mombasa during the groundbreaking ceremony for the construction of the Office General Headquarters, Auditor General Nancy Gathungu urged public officials to uphold accountability in the management of public resources. Gathungu maintained that her office continues to deliver factual, evidence-based reports and raised concerns where necessary without taking sides. On his part, Mombasa Governor Abdul Swamad Sharif Nasir called on leaders to desist from politicizing audit reports, warning that such claims undermine the credibility of a key oversight institution. The offices, which will be constructed by the military, are expected to be completed within 12 months.
It is imperative that we deploy additional resources to the region, including human resources, and at the same time strategize on how to reduce operational costs in the long term. The 84 staff are currently operating from leased office space, which is not cost effective. The construction of this office block, therefore, is a strategic investment for us, aimed at providing adequate working space for staff, reducing costs of leasing, and ensuring long-term operational sustainability.
For those who currently hold office and those who aspire to hold office, if there's one thing that we do not need to politicize, is the report from the Office of the Auditor General.
The work you do for our country and your officers' tireless work to just keep us in the narrow path of accountability and transparency, and so we are very grateful that you could invite us to work with you on this particular project.
In guarding our borders, we pray that you protect us as we go back to the...
And that story from Mombasa brings us to the end of this edition of Catholic Focus News. For these stories and much more, keep it Catholic Focus, where your stories matter. I'm Asasha Elizabeth, together with Ken Mwangi on sign language interpretation. We say thank you for watching and stay blessed. Goodbye.
Keep watching Capuchin TV, your staunchly Catholic identity channel.